The time of this takeoff of this flight was at 19 hours, 12 minutes, and then something strange happened. They turned off their radar illegally at 19 hours and 44 minutes. They went dark.
You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying?
This individual had a plan of escape to elude detection of being out up on a rooftop and also being able to evade and elude law enforcement after that shot was taken.
Steven Crowder got an exclusive email sent to him from inside the investigation, and he's sharing it with us over on his X account, @SCrowder. He said, exclusive, this morning my team received an email from an officer at the ATF. The email included a screenshot from what appears to be an internal message describing a weapon and cartridges located by an ATF and other law enforcement near the scene of the Charlie Kirk shooting at Utah Valley State University. And this is the screenshot right here. You can see teams.doj.gov, and it looks like a log of some type. And if you scroll down here to the bottom, right, this one comes out of Charlotte. So there's this first entry down here in this first row from the Raleigh field office, and there's some entry, right? There's a row. I don't think it's related to anything we're talking about. It says, in October 2023, it's a long time ago, OCDETF operation initial high dive was initiated by the ATF Raleigh field office as a joint investigation targeting armed drug trafficking in the Pool Road area, North Carolina. This investigation sought to, it's cut off. I don't think that's relevant, but it's interesting. What kind of list is this? Is this like a case log where you're going to have a bunch of notes, right? If you're an attorney working on a case, you'll generally have a case file and you'll leave your notes and your assistants will leave their notes. You'll go to court, you'll add their notes, right? Cops do the same thing. They write a report, they add addendums to the reports, they supplement their reports. So are these linear, or is this just some database somewhere? I don't know. But this is another report. On September 10th, 2025, out of the Denver FD, right next door over to Utah in Colorado, says on September 10th, 2025 at approximately 12:24 p.m., conservative political influencer Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at the Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Mr. Kirk was speaking at the university as part of the American Comeback Tour. Multiple Salt Lake City 1 and 3 agents responded immediately. The suspect fired one shot from an elevated position on a rooftop in an adjacent building on the campus, and surveillance video shows the suspect jumping off and fleeing the area on foot. ATF and other law enforcement located an older model imported Mauser 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel in a wooded area near the campus. And that matches what this FBI agent just told us in this morning's press briefing, that they found a weapon. So that is validated right there. Says the location of the firearm appears to match the suspect's route of travel. The spent cartridge was still chambered, so we'll see if ballistics can match that to the bullet that killed Charlie, in addition to 3 unspent rounds in the top-fed magazine. All cartridges have engraved wording on them expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. An emergency trace has been submitted, and ATF Salt Lake City is working leads generated by the trace. The firearm and ammunition have been taken by the FBI for DNA analysis and fingerprint impressions. Upon completion of forensics, the firearm will be disassembled for additional importer information. Multiple people of interest have been contacted or detained because of eyewitness testimony and review of video footage. The primary suspect is yet to be identified. ATF is assisting in the investigation with multiple other federal, state, and local partners, and the case is co-led by the FBI and Utah's State Bureau of Investigation, their SBI. And so, very interesting, right? What's also curious about this is the FBI is confirming some of this, okay, in their statement. And if we look at the photo of this person, is this maybe a transgender person? Is this a man who was pretending to be a woman? Or is this a woman who's pretending to be a man? In other words, is there any indicia of transgender ideology in this person? I'm not sure that I see it. So when you have that, right, then the question is this just an orgy of evidence, as they call it? Now, this has been backed up also, and it sounds like it was being confirmed at least a bit by Fox News. Says breaking, investigators are looking at what appear to be messages on Charlie Kirk's shooter's gun and ammunition. Sources confirm to David Spunt and Bill Malugin the content of the messages is unclear. So gun and ammo, just like the other trans shooter who killed the Catholic kids, had all the messages on his guns. So is that same pattern? We're going to find out, but the sources are telling Fox that there are messages on there, but they're not wanting to tell us what they are. This looks like an actual picture, like from report. Somebody pulled the report, took a picture, sent it over to Crowder. And if it's from, a DOJ DOJ.gov website, like teams.doj.gov. It sounds like it might be straight from the source. And we know historically they don't want to tell us about the trans manifestos or anything that they wrote in their journals, lest it agitate America and cause violence. Okay, yeah, we don't want to cause violence. Your people just shot up a church. All right, anyways, so Steven Crowder shared that. Fox News is reporting it. We know who this person is. Omar just nuked his account. And there's other questions about the flights. This is an interesting development. And of course, we're still in the fog of war. We have no idea ultimately what the FBI knows or what they're working on. But public source, like the open source intelligence, OSINT, is very good and very sophisticated. And they can identify very interesting anomalies. And somebody called Stellar Man 22 over on X did that. 15 hours ago, he posted, a private jet under the tail number N88KG left Provo, Utah airport an hour after the shooting. Identified it. All of it's public, right? Just go on these logs and just say, what's going on over there? So he did that. Here you can see Provo Regional Airport is 5 miles from Utah Valley University. So you just hop in a car and you're there. The time of the assassination was at 18 hours, 10 minutes. The time of this takeoff of this flight was at 19 hours, 12 minutes. And then something strange happened. They turned off their radar illegally at 19 hours and 44 minutes. They went dark and they just went over to a website and obviously, plug this in. You can see everything. You can see, wind, speed, altitude, signal, spatial, right? The planes are all being tracked so that everybody knows where they are. And so very curious, 30 minutes into the flight, it drops off the radar illegally and reappears when it's headed back to Provo about an hour later. Why did this plane turn off its radar? Where is the shooter? He asks. Then you see back here at 2030, they reappear back on radar and he tracked the whole thing. He's got the screenshots of it right there. Here is more. Says this aircraft is not available for public tracking per request from the owner operator is a screenshot that he took. And he provides more. Other people are jumping in on this. They say, look, the flight path leads to Arizona, Page, Arizona, way up north here, to a super remote town called Tuba City Airport. Tiny. Perfect for a quick landing and a hit team transfer if you needed to do that. So this direction, right? Maybe from Utah to this small airport, hop on there and then boom, take another shot right out to Mexico or somewhere else. So don't know if they landed in Tuba City, but he's saying that's kind of right in the line of sight there. And if you keep following that down, you might run into Phoenix or Mesa, but you might just bypass all of that completely. So if you're not landing there, where are you going? Unless you're going to make a turn and go land somewhere else. But interesting developments, and you can see that there is more. Somebody else was posting this. Is this important? And tracking the flights. So people don't know what exactly is going on. So were the flights locked down? Was there a shooter on board of that plane that turned off its radar? Who knows? Stellar Man also posted this. He says, attached is a 2-hour time lapse of Provo airport traffic immediately following the assassination. If the FBI and the Orem police supposedly set up a manhunt in the vicinity, why was an airport 5 miles away not locked down? Where were the flight restrictions? What kind of manhunt is this? And so here's 2 hours, right? So let's start at the beginning. Looks like lots of stuff coming in, landing, coming out. So is the dude gone? I sure hope not, man. But a lot of activity and a lot can happen very quickly, and they don't know who he is and they don't know where he is, according to the FBI. So not ideal. Now, we also saw this, Harley Bonnie clipping it, and our friend Nick Sorter sharing it, said from John Solomon, this weird little phrase about a little bit of foreign intelligence might be helping out on this. Helping out, or foreign intelligence is involved in it? We don't know. John Solomon being very mysterious.
And no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, we lost something important in America today. But the case goes on, the investigation goes on. There's a lot of piecing of evidence together. We don't have a shooter tonight. We have a couple people that were released that probably aren't the shooter. There's a couple hot leads. There's a little bit of foreign intelligence. And I think over the next couple of days, we will learn a lot more. And hopefully we will bring to justice the evil person who did what they did to Charlie today.
A little bit of foreign intelligence. Nobody really knows what that means, but that's what John Solomon, who does great reporting, had to say about it. Now, there's also some drone footage of the scene. And if we play this, we'll just get a little bit of an aerial overview, right? So Charlie Kirk was over there, and I'm not exactly sure where the shooter was. I've seen a couple different locations. So Charlie's tent is right over here. We saw the video. Students all over the place. You're just kind of like in a pillbox down there kind of a situation. So somebody's flying a drone out. Let's see if they pinpoint where the shooter was. This is the direction the shooter ran, and that's where he was on the roof. Okay, so over there is where they're saying he was. And of course, we want to know where he went. So that's that report. Here was another video from OSINT Technical, and they're thinking that's the guy right there on the roof. And this is maybe before or right as the shooting happened. He's not running or anything.
Son, getting right up.
You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from over, where's my finger? Whoa. From over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was before the shooting or not, but that's the location of the videographer where he was standing. Additional information shows an individual running across the roof of the Lossy Center in the moments after the shooting. That individual right there, you see. Rough view to the stage from where the shooter might be perched. Some great images and details so you can see what the shot might look like. And yeah, it appears the shooter was on the roof. The position roughly correlates to known statements, and the Lossy Center is being highlighted here. Purple is where Charlie Kirk was on the map. Yeah, people are noticing the similarities between Butler. Yeah, very, very good reporting there from OSINT. Now, FBI Salt Lake City created a tip line, as we've seen, and they also just posted something 6 minutes ago. The FBI is offering a reward up to $100,000 for information leading to the identification. So if you needed any other justification for it, you'll now get 100 G's too. And also, in addition to being an American and national hero responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk, please call us and submit photos. And can you confirm if this is the shirt that had this writing on it, if that's the shirt that he was wearing? Yeah, no longer available. So that's from the FBI. Now, we also saw footage of this guy. This guy, we believe, is called George Zinn. And very curious situation, questions about whether he was a decoy who captured the cops' attention so that the actual shooter could get away. Is he just a crazy person? Is he a part of it? Were there other people in the background sharing hand signals? And was this a broader operation, or was this just kind of a lone individual? Well, the video, so I got the court documents about what's going on with this guy, not the most recent ones because the obstruction charges haven't hit the docket yet, but he's been charged a bunch with a bunch of other crimes. And here is just this short video of him getting walked out.
Shoot me! Shoot me! Was that you? We don't know if it's him or not. Do it!
So that was George Zinn, and you could hear him saying, "Shoot me, shoot me." And he was invoking his right to remain silent and all sorts of stuff. And so he got charged with obstruction, and Just the News gave us some reporting on this. Says the Utah man who was arrested in the immediate aftermath of the fatal shooting is a well-known gadfly, according to the Salt Lake County District Attorney. Following the shooting, the Utah Department of Public Safety said that they initially took in George Zinn as a suspect, later released and charged with obstruction. But Kirk is a conservative activist. We know he was killed, and there are no current ties to the shooting with Zinn or another man who was arrested and released. There is an ongoing investigation and a manhunt. Provo City Justice Court, 1 count, criminal trespass upon an institution of higher education. And this is before Charlie Kirk got shot. So Class B misdemeanor in violation of the law. He did enter or remain on a property that was controlled by a higher education institution after being ordered to leave by the chief administrative officer or without authorization to remain. It was given to him by communication. That person has the authority to act for the university. The posting of signs he should have seen, fencing explains that he's not supposed to be here, or any of these other things is the law, right? And he violated that. Now, this information is based on the following witness, which is John Hansen, so another BYU college cop, police department. He said, I'm reporting this over to you, Mr. Prosecutor, and Robert Trombley, Provo City Attorney's Office, brought the case. So that's what we've got on the guy. I'm not sure if there's more to that, or if he was just a convenient distraction for whoever the shooter happened to be, just coincidentally. But he did draw a lot of attention. People thought he was the guy, and he was screaming, "Shoot me." He was invoking his Fifth Amendment right. But we saw this interesting statement. Some people calling this thing a professional hit. And now that we've got a photo of the guy, no ID, and apparently a very well thought out escape plan, you start to ask yourself that question. Maybe the shot itself, and I'm not a marksman, could have been accomplished by a non-professional, but I don't know. I mean, I think about even just the nerves. Like, how do you accurately have, shoot somebody if you don't have a lot of experience with this at a rally? You got there 30 minutes before, set up, deployed, got in position, took the shot, and then left, and you're gone, right? I mean, they can't find you currently, and maybe they will, but maybe they won't. So here's what this guy had to say, who is better qualified to talk about professional hits than your boy here. He's former FBI special agent called Stuart Kaplan, and he was on with Jesse Waters yesterday, and here's what he said about this.
I think this assassination, different than the assassinated attempt back in Butler, Pennsylvania, was a very well planned, very very well orchestrated plot that was put in motion days before, and this individual had a plan of escape to elude detection of being out up on a rooftop and also being able to evade and elude law enforcement after that shot was taken. When you take a look at what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, Crooks came onto the venue, he left the venue, he came back, he was questioned. I mean, it was really an amateur scenario. This assassination of Charlie Kirk, to me, is indicative of a professional hit, and I'm not so sure that we are going to quickly be able to apprehend this individual without some luck, hopefully.
When you say professional hit, what do you mean by that exactly? Do you mean one shot, one kill, escape already planned and at large? It looks clean, yes, but could this be done by anybody with any sort of basic training?
Well, when you take a look at the video and you take a look at the venue and the spectators and how close they are to Charlie Kirk, and then you have that kind of like umbrella over him, that kind of tent, you have to know that this shooter had to be perched in a position with respect to being able to lay his sights perfectly, basically a headshot. And the shot that was taken to immediately incapacitate Charlie Kirk. And so this was not some amateur who just, got up on a rooftop because it was, what I consider spontaneous combustion. He got up this morning and decided he was going to do something crazy. This seems the earmark of a professional that got up onto this rooftop well in advance of the venue being occupied by the spectators. He was clearly undetected. There was no indication that anybody saw him up on this rooftop. Obviously, after that one single shot was taken, he was able to basically very quietly and systematically elude any further detection and escape. There's been no indication that there's been a vehicle identified or any mode of how he actually escaped the venue. And so to me, this is someone who had some experience, some level of sophistication to have mapped out exactly how this was going to go down.
Yeah, and that is a scary prognostication if that is true.